up to, do you think there's or if it were, do you think some of the injuries in football now, the CTE or whatever, kind of think would affect going forward how many people play football?
Probably.
No.
I think more so
No.
Pee Wee, but as it goes over, I think it's.
Well, again, I can certainly see both sides.
Or do you
to
think it would take one bad injury to a key player that people love that would would make people change their opinion?
It won't. Unfortunately, the way that, in my opinion, with everything going on, is just the way, because we've seen very bad hits. We literally Luke Kuechly,
Ryan Shazier.
Yeah, literally, these guys. Well, that was more. I thought it was like more of a spinal injury or something, or neck injury.
He also said a major injury.
Right.
He said CT, but he also said a major injury, which everyone loves Ryan Shazier.
But again, though, the
Seau.
thing is, so you can't actually diagnose CT unless the person sees.
Right.
But anyway, though, again, there's, for example, I can't remember who the quarterback was, but I think it was like the Cardinals and the Texans or something like that. The Texans QB before Deshaun Watson was there, or maybe it was the Cardinals QB. I forget who it was.
Osweiler?
Maybe it was him, or it was, I can't remember what the who the QB was, but the guy got absolutely pummeled, and clearly he got concussed in his own end zone, and his own team kept him in for an entire series. And it took 2 concussion protocols before they actually took him out of the game.
Right.
So, unfortunately, the way that all these major sports are, regardless of it being to a star athlete, again, Luke Kuechly, I can never pronounce his name right. Kuechly?
Yeah.
Okay, Kuechly. Thank you. His career ended so short because of concussions, and he was a star player, and he was a fan favorite and everything in Carolina.
Patrick Willis before him.
Yeah, and literally, I really don't think that. Unfortunately, it's just going to take one star athlete, no matter what sport it is, to get a career-ending concussion, and everything. There's Mark Savard for the Boston Bruins in hockey, Chris Pronger for the Philadelphia Flyers. There's all sorts of athletes out there.
But they're also, that's one thing that's also helping, is they're also making ways to not have that. Because
and that's
you were just talking about, we talked about that on the last podcast, Brian and I did, is that like even 5 years ago, that was okay. The two,
right, and that's the problem.
And he was fine.
And that's the problem with it is, there's always going to be the side for, basically the violence and also just like, because again, there's old school people of, they love the classic hits, they love the fighting,
and then they hate
hockey and everything, and they love all the blood and violence, and they're old school fans, and that's just how they grew up to be those sports fans. But there's these newer fans that, some still like the old school mentality, but they're like, well, I don't know, like, look at what it's doing. There's still going to be a lot of these, parents when their kids want to play sports and everything, that, they might want to play football or hockey, and to the sports that have probably, at least the way I see it, in my opinion, the most concussions out of any other sports, because they're the most violent, and also soccer, actually. Just with the headers and the hard collisions and whatnot. But regardless of, there's going to be a lot of parents out there saying, like, they're okay with their kids playing, but there are going to be some parents that are going to say, well, no, I don't want my kid to play football.
Case in point, Brett Favre isn't going to let his kids play football because of it.
Exactly, and he's a Hall of Fame QB, one of the best.
And he took a bunch of hits. So
exactly. He knows personally, firsthand, right there. I don't know if he's had any concussions or if he has had it. I don't know how many.
I think that's why you also see, we also talked about this last time, why people's careers are shortening. Andrew Luck.
Exactly.
Those type of people.
Right, exactly.
Hockey-wise, Bufflin maybe, if he's actually retiring. If he's not retiring, we don't know.
Exactly, and he's not that old, really. But again, it's tough just because there's a lot of good that sports do, but there's also a lot of bad with all the collisions and everything. And I will say, though, that where we were 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, with with the technology and also just the medicine where we've been at, it's greatly improved, again, even over the last 5 years, but especially 10 years. And I know people are still working on it every single day to improve all this, and also I know football is trying to create, or I guess improve helmets to prevent concussions, because no matter what, I really don't see it being possible to truly prevent a concussion. I think
can't.
That's impossible.
Exactly. I think it's actually impossible. But the thing is that they're just trying to create ways to make it less possible to receive a concussion.
So
not that completely changes.
yeah, so that's a very good reasoning thought process. So here's mine on that. And Jeff and I are both Jeff and I are very familiar with concussions, since we both have 6-7 concussions, all mine from a sport, every single one. So with the concussion, so with that fact, I would let my kids play whatever sport they wanted to.
I want to prevent my kids, but if it's their call, but I want to really force them one way or the other.
Right.
But it comes to you saying, would you say these sports would be completely negated from society? No. For one thing, of how much money they bring in.
Exactly.
Would people stop playing? No, because Jeff, here's the thing: if you're gonna say someone's gonna tell you you have no concussions right now, just say you go into the NFL and they say, or say college even, at a D1 school, top tier. They say, or no matter what, doesn't matter actually.
Right.
You go in and you're gonna have a really healthy football career. You're gonna do extremely well for yourself. You're going to the NFL, but you're gonna be guaranteed 7 concussions.
Mm-hmm.
From start of freshman year to say 7-8 years in the NFL. Okay, so you have, we'll say, 13-14 years of football. Okay, but in the NFL, you're gonna be making $16 million a year out of 8 years. That's a lot of money.
That is.
So,
wait,
but again,
so I'm saying the fact that I'm not.
You said starting from freshman year to the first couple years in the NFL, you were saying?
Yes. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You're saying like 3 or 4 years in the NFL. Like
not
that?
to but you have 8 years. No, I say you have 13, 14 years overall football.
Mm-hmm.
Just say you're going to get cut.
But the
short,
only
you have 8
years you're getting paid is the last 4.
Yes. No. You have 8 years 4 years in college.
You're not getting paid for those.
No, but then the other 8 years in the NFL.
Right.
Where'd you get 4 from?
The 4 years in the NFL.
Anyway, continue.
There's 8 years in the NFL. I said 13, 14 years.
Oh, okay, got you now. I got you now. I thought you were talking about college.
4 years in college.
Sorry.
So you have 4 years in college,
mm-hmm.
and then you have 8-9 years in the NFL.
Got it.
And say you're going to be a wide receiver, slot receiver, or running back, where you can get a lot of those concussions. But you're making mid-teens to mid-$20 million a year.
Right.
I'm taking the concussions. Honestly, I know it's bad. I know how bad they are, but like, you get a lot of those players get up for one thing. The padding takes about 50% away of the hits from the contact. It decreases the contact significantly. But you also get up because you're being paid $16 million to play. Right. So each paycheck is like $500,000.
If that's guaranteed.
If it's guaranteed.
In this case, let's just say it is.
Say all this money is guaranteed. Say you have $20 million guaranteed, but your other incentives reach out to 30 mil, okay? But you have 20 million guaranteed each year. So you're getting paid $20 million to get up from some of those hits for 16 plus games. That's why I think that's stupid. But I think that's why it's so. That's why you want to play sometimes when you're out on the field, because you don't just love the game, but you're being paid $20 million.
Right. And
so
so
like, if I'm gonna get a
now.
concussion, no, I don't need it. No, it's not my headphone. It's like the end of the.
It's a pen.
That's your headphone.
So
he's still playing with the pen.
Oh my God.
If you're gonna get hit and you're gonna get a concussion, yes, it's bad. I don't suggest like that's horrible. I wouldn't want to do that, but you can understand why people are continuing through them because you're getting paid $20 million.
So
if someone says, I'm going to give you a concussion, one concussion, but I'm going to give you $20 million for it, then yeah, give it.
I'd need to see the money first.
Yeah. Well, but again, so wait, Brian, are you saying just because are you sticking with the idea of what you said, 6 or 7 concussions?
Yeah, I'm just saying something to say that's going to take you out of the season. So if you have 6 or 7 concussions in a 13-year span, 14-year span, you're probably done 9 years into the NFL season, right?
Mm-hmm.
You probably have 8 or 9 seasons.
I will say the only thing I will say about that is, again, it all depends on the severity of the concussions. Because as you know, we know personally, like once you get one concussion, it's just as easy. It's just as easy to get.
Well, that's what I say. It gets worse. It gets worse and worse and worse each time you get it.
But again, the problem is, obviously, like again, there's this hypothetical. Again, we're playing everything, but it's like it all depends on the severity of the concussions, but also how consistent you're getting them. Like, are you getting, what if you get 2 in 1 year type of thing?
It's possible.
Jeff, if you get a concussion in football, it's mostly gonna be a mild to severe concussion. You're not getting a slight concussion.
Yeah.
You're getting football is a contact sport.
I'm not saying like it. Well, right. Sorry, I got.
So it. It's not gonna be I get a tiny one. It's you got one. It's like it's like when you know you have it, you have it. That's what it is. It's not. That's all football, no matter what. Same as hockey. When you get it, you got it.
Well, I was gonna say, what if it's like?
I'll stay away from hockey on that. Football. Yeah. If you're a slot receiver, you come across the middle, you get smacked in the head. You have a concussion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, right. Obviously, in that case, yeah. But let's say, for example, if you're, a quarterback or something like that, and you don't get leveled, but like, let's say, the guy puts a decent tackle on you, he doesn't ground, taking the ground or anything, you just happen to fall back on your own and you smack your head. But it's not like
I've done that.
Yeah.
No, so Jeff, on that end, I'm
someone on this podcast.
I'm saying if you got one, you know it.
Okay.
If when you hit the ground or you get hit,
you just
and you're like I have it. You're like when I got mine, I was like,
okay,
when I got hit back last fall, and I got hit hard. My head smacked against the ground. I stood up and I couldn't walk straight for a hot second. I was like, I had a concussion.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like
that's what I'm saying.
Okay. No, I'm with you now. But anyway, so because you do make a lot of very good points, but I will say, at least in my opinion, so again, like I don't think that football will, any of these sports will ever go away with. I think and what they've been trying to do over the years, just to kind of push back against some of the protesting and everything, against the illegal hits and also the legal plays and everything in every sport. They're trying to make it safer. They're trying to implement rules in order to keep the sports that we love and everything, where you can still make hits and everything, but we just gotta make them a little bit cleaner if it's possible. So that's what they're trying to do. Right, exactly. There's a right way to tackle,
but there's also football.
There's a right way to hit. There's a right way to do a lot of things, but
it's still a collision sport. You guys, no matter what, you have guys running 4.4 speed at you, like
exactly, and
with
good luck.
Dude who's running 4.4 speed, 4.5 speed at you, who weighs 250 muscle, like lean, just straight muscle with helmet and pads. That's not a tackle. That's a collision. So then that's a collision. So my ending on that one. So Jeff, you can like say that after this. That I think it's the money. I will keep everything that's why you get up. I'd get up for $20 million every game. $20 million a year, I get up. Yeah. Also, it's how much do you crave that kind of contact? Do you really want to play? Like, I love rugby. I'll continue to play until I can't. So I give myself another 2 years, probably.
Right.
So just because that's all the injuries I've taken over the years, but I give myself 2 years in the men's league, maybe 3. I'd love to go more if I could, but we'll see. But then I go back to it. I went back after I broke my collarbone because I love the sport still, and I still crave that contact. I want to hit people. I want to go through it. So with that, I think that's what it kind of is. Is that it's either you love it or you don't. If you get hit and you're like, it's fight or flight. It's kind of in UFC. You get in that ring, someone hits you. It's either you hit back or you back out.
Right.
and you're done. And once you're done, you're done. You're not playing another. So you're not playing again. Like I was in a game where the kid who got hit and he wanted out immediately.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be in the game anymore
Yeah.
because he got hit once. That's what it kind of is. It's either you're in, you're out.
Well, but
that's my thought process.
Yeah.
That's my thought process. It's either UFC, you get hit, you hit back, or you don't, or you give up, which is.
Or you had no chance to hit back because you get hit and you get knocked out.
Yeah. So I think either way, it's okay. Yeah. Either one's okay. I just think that's why these sports will continue to grow or even stay where they are now.
I think at worst you'll see them
lose
some popularity, but I think they'll still be fine.
Also, I think the most concussion one is UFC. Because
the most injury ones, yes.
I would imagine.
I'm saying, like you said, like concussion wise, yes.
I don't know. I was gonna say, I would say between that and boxing.
If you get knocked out, boxing or UFC are the concussion ones because if you get knocked out, you have a concussion. That's what it is. There's no question about that.
But the only reason why I say boxing over UFC is because they're doing more head hitting. There's head hitting in UFC, but they can do everything else too.
Yeah, you can grapple. But yeah, Jeff, what was your thing about the whole concussions and contact?
So again, I'm trying to. So, I'm sorry. Just repeat your question there. The one you just asked.
So I was saying, we're kind of a debate of saying, like, will the sports ever stop, or will they lose a lot of main popularity, or will kids stop playing them? I said no because there's so much money to be made in the NFL if you do make it. Or say if you're already there, you won't stop early unless it's necessary because you're making so much money.
Right.
Like unless it's absolutely necessary, like luck and peak league, then that makes sense.
Right.
It also comes down to the factor of you want to play. Like I want to play rugby. I want to hit people. I don't care how big they are compared to me. I'll still play.
I will say this. So,
UFC is a big part of that too, at least the money thing. Because if you get knocked out, you're not going to want to go back in unless you're trying to get some kind of money or something.
Exactly. No, so I will say this.
If you weren't giving me much money, I wouldn't play.
Again, as for like the popularity and everything like that, I think that will never die down. But I still like, no matter like how I personally feel or others who might agree with me on like my personal stance on everything, it's dangerous sports and everything, but we do love to play and everything. It's just the competitive nature in us and in athletes and everything. But as much as I hate agreeing with you, but because, and don't get me wrong, I love sports, I love contact sports and everything. I certainly agree with you on that one, like on the fact that like these sports will never go away. And obviously I'm very happy with that because I'm a very I'm all for sports and everything, but when it does come to someone's personal health though, like specifically in concussions and everything, and it's a very like not necessarily like a touchy subject. It's just like for me, I understand like, again, just because of my concussion history and everything, and it's a tough question to answer. Like for again, kind of I guess going back to like the scenario though of like, oh, like would you take that money, like you getting paid what 20 million we said in that scenario? For me, again, if it meant like the 7-8 concussions, as much as I would love playing a sport and everything like that, I would not take that money. I would, to me, it's not worth it in the long run. Like, sure, it would be great having a tremendous career, making plenty of money, but the 7-8 concussions over that 14 whatever year career, it's not worth it in the long run. Like during the whole career, it'll be fun, but during the days of your like you're basically in your prime and everything, you could have a very short, like very young career. Like let's say you start at 18, again, like let's say you even just go pro at 18, 19 years old or whatever, and you're even at the age of 30, you could be completely washed up and you still have like, 50, 60 years to go in your lifetime and whatnot. Hopefully if you have good health, but at the same time is if you do have that good health though, you could live for a very long time. But even with the concussion aspect and everything, and those remaining years for your life, those could be some very, very dark times and miserable years. We've seen it in the past, unfortunately, with some famous athletes and everything who, who people now know that had CTE in their head, in
or
their
they
brain,
feel like they have it, so they donate it just to be
exactly, yeah. They donate and everything like that, and it's certainly tough to see with a lot of these things, but the problem is, in my opinion, it's like, it's weird because, like, as for like for youth sports and everything, I'm almost 50-50 on it, because I would love for kids to play the sports that they love, or the sports kids have their own personal heroes growing up, everything, and they want to idolize after them, everything. I think that's awesome. But the part of the problem is where it comes in is sometimes what they see on TV is, they think it's okay for pro athletes to do it. Like, let's say if there's a big hit, in football, and they just completely go headhunting type of thing. They see that, they try it in a game.
Yeah, they try being Brian Dawkins.
Exactly. Yeah. Not saying but you get the point.
I agree with Jeff. Like, I'm not saying like of course, we all want people to be like healthy and safe.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. No one wants anyone to get concussions.
Of course.
But it's part of the game, so you have to, like, when me walking onto rugby, I was, when I started college, I was 5'2", 105 wet.
Right.
I knew what I was getting myself into. I was playing college now. I was playing Division D1 AA college. I knew what I was getting myself into. Bigger guys, it was gonna happen. Didn't think I was gonna break anything, but I knew something was gonna happen eventually. Sadly. And as the years went on, not just broken collarbone, but a lot of other injuries of separate concussions and plus whatever else happened to me.
I have another question.
I think it comes down to mentality. That's what I think this whole thing. I think it's what this whole thing comes down to, is mentality. Are you gonna, same thing as I said before, fight or flight? You get up, keep playing, or you cut it, or you stopping.
Right.